Okay, wine fans, listen up. We're going to learn about some incredible new wines, things to get you out of your comfort zone. I'm with Eric Asimov, the wine critic for the New York Times, and I have to say a big thank you. I understand you cut your spa day short here at Lake Austin just to be with us, so we appreciate that.
I just got here today to be with you.
Well, and
the work here starts tomorrow.
The work being the massage, the lake views, the great food.
Well, we'll be doing some wine tastings.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
This is the time to come when Eric is here. So we wanted to talk about, we all get into our wine comfort zones, whether it's a Chard, it could be a Cabernet, whatever. But sometimes it's quite fascinating and quite rewarding to get out of that comfort zone and explore wines we're not used to trying.
Yeah, there's so many great wines in the world that people never heard of 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. And it's the opportunity to explore the world, and I find it fascinating. It's really tempting to go to the same restaurant and always order the same dish, and that's satisfying in a way. But when you try something new and it's just wonderful, it's very exciting.
Yeah, little light bulbs go off. Fireworks fly. And such is the case with, for me, Greek wines. There's an incredible little restaurant in Houston, in Rice Village, called Helen Greek. I'll give them a shout out because their owner helped me with these wines. Their entire wine list is all Greek wines, probably more than 100 different wines on the list. And it has been a fascinating adventure to try the Greek wines. They've really gotten a lot better than they were, say, 15 years ago.
That's absolutely true. And one reason is that when countries like Greece were looking at the rest of the world and wanting to market their wines there, they looked at what other people were drinking, and they saw they were drinking Chardonnay and Cabernet, and they thought, oh, okay, let's plant those grapes, ignoring the fact that they had indigenous grapes that had been growing in the country for centuries. And when they realized that, these wines we're making are not that exciting, not that interesting, people don't care for another Chardonnay from Greece, they started marketing their own wines and really improving the quality and taking care with the farming, and they can be fantastic.
Yeah, they're great fun. And so I chose some, well, I should say, Evan at Helen the Greek chose these for us to try. These are representative of good winemaking practices. They've elevated the winemakers, are getting these great degrees and studying, and the winemaking process in Greece has obviously been elevated in the last 10 years. So we're going to start with this one. This is a white. And to me, the Greek whites are great fun. They kind of put you in the Mediterranean mood.
Yeah, the wine has that transporting effect sometimes, right. And why not go to Greece?
Why not? Because you can do it in a bottle. I mean, just use your imagination. So this first one is, you pronounce this better than I do.
This grape is it's called the Maillard Guccio.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't speak Greek, but I can fake it.
Okay, Maillard Guccio.
And this is a grape that virtually disappeared in Greece because people were pulling up their native varieties and planting the international grapes, and they just didn't appreciate what they had. They didn't appreciate it for the treasures that they had. And so a couple of winemakers took it upon themselves to really try to protect these varieties.
Well, if you think about it, Greek mythology, Dionysus, I mean, this was wine happening many thousands of years ago.
They were not drinking Cabernet Sauvignon back then.
Not at all. Okay, so let me taste that, see what you think.
It's so floral and bright, and it's perfumed, really. Yeah. And I think it's one of the qualities that you see in a lot of Greek wines. They're just so aromatic. Yeah. And you taste this, and you know that it would be fantastic with shellfish or just some kind of Mediterranean fish.
Yeah, I agree. And I think on the Greek whites in particular, I like them not quite as cold as Americans. Over here we usually over chill everything. To me, the warmer they get, those florals just really open up.
Yeah, and that's really true of any good white wine. If you're going to a bar and ordering the house Pinot Grigio, put that sucker on ice. You want that to be as cold as possible because that hides the flaws.
Right.
But if you're drinking something that's really good and really aromatic, you want to serve it a little bit cooler than room temperature. Take it out of the fridge and maybe half an hour before you want to drink it, because that really lets the aromas come out and the flavors, which otherwise would be hidden. You're absolutely right about that.
Okay, so for our next wine, we're moving to the reds, and I think some of these reds are quite interesting. Not anything like our California cabs.
No, not at all. They are lighter. They may have some alcohol to them, but there's a lightness in body, and these are, like the whites, really perfumed wines. There's a smokiness, as you pointed out, and you get this kind of spicy red fruit. And it's fascinating because we think of Greek wines as island wines, especially the whites. The reds are really mainland wines. These come from Macedonia and Thessaly, which are kind of the meeting place where Europe meets Asia. And it's not quite exotic, but it's very different from what you're used to if you drink primarily California wines or even French wines or Italian wines.
Yeah, well, you can see this wine, and I think reds in general that I've tried from Greek, which is a small number, they would go, you can see that with seafood. It's bright, it's lively.
When you talk about the smokiness in it, I mean, you want something grilled over a wood fire.
Yeah.
It would just, oh my God, it would be so good.
We're making you hungry. No, this is a nice wine. So this one is Domaine
Zephyricus.
Zephyricus.
And it's made of the Limniona grape, which, like the Maillard Guccio, was a disappearing variety until one intrepid winemaker sought them out and replanted them and really kind of guarded its future. And in this case, it was the Zephyricus family. And I just, I'm very grateful when I find a wine like this to know that it's somewhere in the world.
Okay, for our third one, we're keeping in the reds. And this is another Greek red. And you said this is also a Macedonian wine, which is where white came from.
Yes. And we don't know what the grape is. It's another one of these very obscure indigenous grapes. And, they would have to take this to a laboratory and do a genetic analysis and track it back. And maybe it's not even named. I don't know. It's probably something that's grown there, and that's the grape that grows over there.
Even if we knew the name, we wouldn't know what it was. I mean,
but it's a terrific wine. It's very it's deep and full-bodied, and it's more in the mode of a Grenache or a Zinfandel. It's got a lot of fruit to it, a lot of depth. And if I were pairing this wine, it maybe some kind of braised meat, short ribs, long-cooked short ribs, or stews, or something like that.
Are the Greek winemakers using any of the, like Grenache and things like that, to do any blending with their grapes?
Oh, I'm sure they are, because those sorts of international grapes were planted there, and they're there, so you make use of them. But for me, the real excitement is in trying these wines that are unlike any of the others.
I agree. This is amazing. Okay, next, stick around. We're going to do Sicilian wines. Another adventure. Yum. Or is it Yamas?
Yamas.
Yamas.